Alright, so in the fighting game world, which I'm sure you're familiar because it goes hand in hand with pocket knives. Anyway, there's a term for certain characters that I used to really like playing as when I used to play a lot of fighting games. The term is a glass cannon. Characters like Strider in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or 2 or 1, either way, and characters like Akuma in your Street Fighter games. They're glass cannons. They are highly capable, but they're weak in defense, so you need to really know their limitations and use them in the right situations and use them sparingly. And that is the exact analogy I draw to this knife. Yes, that's right. This is a knife review, and if you didn't think knife reviews could get nerdier than they already were, then there you go. So, the Lil Nilakka is before you on the table, and this is the definition of that glass cannon term I was just talking about. It is a really small, very highly potent slicing blade that you need to know what you can and can't do with it, or else you may cause yourself a bit of a mischief. What sort of mischief? I will explain later. So this is it next to like a proper hard-working knife. This is the American Lawman there, and that's sort of illustrating that this is definitely not probably going to be your primary EDC blade. This is a flash batch, and there's a few things to know about flash batches. They are different to sprint runs, so a flash batch is an entirely different model of knife rather than a sprint run, which is a type of a model of knife. So there will not be any more Lil Nilakkas, apparently, unless they decide to do another flash batch. There was 1,200 in this flash batch. I have number 1,100 here on the table. And yes, because of that, adds to the glass cannon nature of this knife, because it is a finite resource. You can't just buy another one if you ruin it. So let's talk about what's to like and what's to perhaps not like about the Spyderco Lil Nilakka. So primarily, the potential performance for this knife under certain circumstances is very high. So let's roll in a cutting montage with some appropriate music, I'd suggest. Salacious stuff, right? So yeah, these will slice the heck out of anything that offers a little resistance. So paper, food, anything like that, no worries at all. That is where this knife will excel. Doing your detailed slicing, that edge is crazy thin. It is thin for about 3 or 4 millimeters, thinner than most knives are for the first 1 millimeter. It is so damn thin, so well done, so optimized for fine slicing. Absolutely. So yeah, that is the strongest part of the knife without a doubt. The rest of it is still very strong. I love these cream colored G10 handles, ivory G10 they call it. So this is G10 as you know it, but it is polished smooth, and it is in an unorthodox color, so you don't see too many knives of this style, which is awesome. It has a really good small footprint in hand. The blocky square handle goes along with the whole design of the knife. Yeah, it's not the most ergonomic thing in the world, but certainly is different looking, and that is exactly what this knife is. It is so damn different looking that I really just couldn't help but at least give it a try. It's got the standard Spyderco wire clip for really good, carriage and pocketability and that sort of thing. So if you did want to use this as like a little letter opener style knife, it might well do you handy to have, it in your coin pocket. You'd probably want to support it with a more full capable, full-fledged knife, because as I'll get into now, The glass cannon factor does come back to haunt you, and it did with me in this knife. So yeah, I saw Puko, and I thought, well, it's a wood carving knife too, surely. So this is the extent of the wood cutting that I did with this knife. I took it out and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a teeny tiny little feather stick. I'm going to see how it goes on that. And you know what? This was awesome. It was really fun and really satisfying to peel off those really tiny, thin little bits of wood. But this is Australian wood and it's fairly hard, I guess. It doesn't seem like it's too, not giving me too much resistance going with the grain and that sort of thing. And I thought, you know what, the RWL34 should solve the problem of the edge degradation that the previous Nilakkas had. Spyderco did a range in S30V. However, it wasn't the case. So let's zoom in, shall we? I can see it already because I've got the eye for it. That shiny part, that is where the blade has rolled. Just a teeny tiny bit, but on a blade this size, it certainly has shaved off a little bit of resale value for me, for certain. I'll show you some better angles of it now. It's hard to photograph, but worth noting. Sigh. It's that lighter coloured bit along the edge. It's raised enough to catch the light. So it's one of those things. Now if I ever resell this, I'd have to point that out, and therefore I probably will just keep it. Anyway, I just had to let you know. And this is the knife before I made that fateful cut. As you can see, the edge looks totally fine. Anyway, this is some size comparisons between it and the CRKT Pillar. Both small, cool little knives. The Pillar would probably never roll because it's got quite a big fat grind on it. That's the Spyderco Swish Bowie. Anyway, that's whatever that knife is above it, and the Lil Nilakka, which I'm probably also saying wrong. I'm not even going to try saying the name of the guy who made it. Jeez, my comment thread would explode. This is the American Lawman above and the Mini Lawman below. The Mini Lawman is kind of a similar size brethren to this knife. And this is it next to its most opposite knife in the world, probably the Hardcore Hardware MILF04, which has a fairly thick blade, as you can see. There we go. And yeah, the MILF 4 probably also wouldn't have the same issue against wood. Whether it would even cut the wood in the first place, that's up for debate too. And this is it next to some more traditional sort of carving, whittling knives. The Open L below, number 8, and above is just a standard Victorinox Swiss Army knife. So everyone knows what size those things are, so that is why I generally include them in all my reviews. So this is definitely a very small, compact knife. That's next to a Spidey Chef. That's it next to a Spyderco Police 4, which is huge. And this is it next to a Leatherman Micra, so it's not super tiny like a Micra. There we go. So, overall, the Lil Nilakka, I do like it. I love the potential behind knives that are designed to do such singular cutting things. Did I abuse the knife by cutting wood with it? I kind of thought not, because I just kind of equated this grind with like being a fine wood carving knife, and you can see I wasn't like splitting wood with it or anything. I think maybe it's just the type of wood I was using against. I don't know. All I guess I will say is against wood, maybe just handle with care, or do it against like bona fide softwoods. Otherwise, just keep doing super cool slicing videos set to porno music for YouTube video reviews. It's always going to be good at that. Because overall, I mean, it is a really well-made knife. It carries really well. It's probably just a really good kind of backup slicey box cuttery style knife, I guess. It's going to do fine against like paper and maybe cardboard and stuff, I would suggest. And the RWL34, if they were going to make it work with any steel, it was probably going to be with this steel, because it's like a pretty tough, like pretty well-regarded steel for carving knives. I mean, lots of sort of thin bushcraft knives use this steel, so I don't know. And yeah, I mean, the Opinel has a really thin grind. I've never had an issue with that, so maybe they would have been better off just making it carbon steel. I'm really not sure. Anyone who's got any ideas, weigh in the comments. All I know is that mine is now rather imperfect, which, of course, as soon as you use something, it becomes imperfect, absolutely. And yeah, it's not unusable, of course not, but I probably won't do that again, because I don't want to add another little wave further up the blade, or I don't want to make that little wave worse. If you've got any idea of what I could do to perhaps correct it, I'm probably just going to try and put it on a stropping wheel, sort of push it the other way a little bit. I don't know. Should still do that? Who knows? But anyway, I must say it's a little bit of a disappointment. So overall, I mean, should you get this knife? As a collector, I'd say absolutely. It's a really well-made, really collectible, really awesome-looking knife. Like, it's super cool and stylish and funky, and people like it. People look at it and say, that's a cool knife. So yeah, but if you're actually going to use it, I guess just approach with caution. It's a glass cannon, just like Strider Hiryu and Akuma, and driving and choosing Princess Peach in Mario Kart. As soon as Bowser comes along and hip and shoulders you, you're going to be spinning out into into the green on the side of the road. It's the same sort of thing. So just be aware, be informed. But if you do see something like this come up, you're probably best off just buying it as a collector, because I guess if you break it, not that I've quite broken mine yet, but there isn't really any chance of you getting another one. So I guess that's my thoughts on the Spyderco Lil Nilakka. Have a nice day, y'all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.